What up? It's your boy T-Bird and Reaction. So I had to do this today because tomorrow, or if you watch it now Tuesday, the new documentary from WWE called Unreal is coming out, and a lot of folks are very, very, very skeptical of this. You know what I'm saying? They don't know if this is a good idea. It's pulling back more curtain than it is. A lot of people say Kayfabe is dead, but not as dead. So it's for that to do that, it's definitely gonna rub a lot of folks. Rub a lot of folks wrong. I mean, it's bad enough we already got Dark Side of the Ring, but I don't know. We don't know about this, man. And all these dirt sheets going on. So this might be the nail in the coffin for kayfabe. So anyway, this is from Pllana. Will WWE survive without kayfabe with this Unreal? Let's get it.
I think this is fake.
You think it's fake?
Oh, here we go.
What's that? Is that fake?
For decades, WWE lived by one golden rule: protect the business at all cost. This meant don't break character.
Yeah.
Never admit the truth.
Thing is not for real, is it?
That feel fake, huh?
Yep.
Does that feel fake?
Yep.
And never let the audience behind the curtain.
Hey, the on here.
But that rule is now shattered with the release of WWE's new documentary. There are clips of Triple H with the writing staff, John Cena rehearsing, and even a production member saying that Cody was just selling this spot. This documentary outright exposes wrestling's biggest secrets. We are witnessing the end of kayfabe. It is crumbling before our very eyes, and this time it's not the fans or the dirt sheets doing the damage, it is WWE themselves. I absolutely despise every piece of this documentary. It needs to be canceled, and the WWE needs to do everything in their power to protect kayfabe, because
it's still real to me, damn it!
What is kayfabe?
First off, I hate the clip because a lot of people use it towards folks in me, of course, as well, but still.
And why do I think it's one of the most important inventions in wrestling history? To answer that, we gotta hop in a time machine all the way back to the 1800s. This was long before WrestleMania, before Hulkamania, and before steel chairs and 5-star matches. This was a time when there was dirt, blood, and bare knuckles. Wrestling in the 19th century America was not entertainment. It started with townsfolk settled grudges mixed with place bets. There are even stories of a young Abraham Lincoln throwing hands with the local town bully. And yes, he would go on to win that fight if you wanted to know. But everything changed after the Civil War. When the war ended, soldiers returned home, and with them came combat skills that they acquired. Many of them knew how to grapple, how to choke, and how to throw a man twice their size. These soldiers quickly saw this as an opportunity. These were the original hustlers. They'd put on what looked like legitimate fights, but secretly, they were working together. The matches were predetermined, and the goal was not to win. It was actually to scam towns out of their money. And that was the birth of kayfabe.
Wow.
Kayfabe isn't just a wrestling term, it's the entire soul of the business. It's the unspoken agreement between the performer and the audience. Because if fans ever found out it was fake, then the money would stop rolling in. The fame would vanish and the illusion would crumble. Think about a magician. Without his secrets, is he even a magician? And that's the same thing with kayfabe. Without it, is wrestling still wrestling? No. And that is why the illusion of pro wrestling works so well. Therefore, wrestling started to spread. The characters became larger than life. Guys like Colonel James H. McLaughlin and the Solid Man
that dude was jacked and ripped. Sheesh.
Dune were featured in newspapers and magazines like the National Police Gazette. At this time, it was still considered a low-class hobby. It'd be something you'd watch in smoke-filled rooms on a Friday night. However, it was quietly growing. With kayfabe protecting it like armor, wrestling evolved. It became more organized. Rules were introduced, and we even got a world championship that was created. But in 1905, wrestling truly leveled up when the beast of a man named George Hackenschmidt became the world champion. From that moment on, pro wrestling entered its first real boom. Kayfabe was king, fans believed in the business, wrestlers were box office names, and the business was thriving. Names like Frank Gotch, Billy Sandow, and Toots
Gotch.
Moon became superstar celebrities. Things were going great, but just like
life.
every empire, cracks were beginning to form, and in this story, that crack had a name: Jack Pfeffer. Most people think it was Vince McMahon who broke kayfabe, but it wasn't. He just turned the lights on in a room that was already falling apart. The first man to destroy kayfabe was a salty, vengeful New York promoter named Jack Pfeffer. Winners of wrestling matches in New York City and environs at least are decided before the contestants enter the ring, and the grunting and groaning and wild acrobatics staged therein are merely an act. That was a real quote printed in a New York newspaper in 1934, and it came straight from the mouth of Jack Pfeffer. This would instantly turn him into wrestling's biggest traitor. So why did he do it? It was simple. He wanted to get revenge and regain power. Pfeffer was losing control, so he lit a match and burned the entire business to the ground. His expose revealed all the secrets. People were now aware of the fact that wrestling was predetermined, choreographed, and phony. This led to other promoters panicking. They denied, deflected, and even tried to bury the story. But Pfeffer wasn't done. Over the next 35 years, he held the entire industry hostage. If he didn't get what he wanted, he would threaten to expose their territory and their wrestlers in their town's newspaper. This was a devious plan that worked for Jack Pfeffer. He became a powerful top promoter, getting anything that he wanted. And honestly, this expose would be the beginning of the end for kayfabe. By the late 1950s, the business had a new enemy, and his name was Dan Parker. He wasn't a promoter, he was not a wrestler, he was a columnist, but not just any columnist. He was one of New York's most popular sports writer, and he made it his personal mission to bury professional wrestling. He called it a low-class cartoon, a carnival con, and famously said the only thing real in wrestling is the sweat. He repeatedly drilled the idea into the mainstream public that wrestling was fake. And no matter how much the promoters hated him, they couldn't stop him. With every column, kayfabe cracked a little more. But then came 1984, and things got even worse for kayfabe, because that's when John Stossel walked onto your TV screen with this 2020 that really hurt the industry. The title of the episode was "Is Pro Wrestling Fake?" and he did not hold back whatsoever. Stossel called wrestling a con.
Is that when Dave Schultz smacked him?
He demonstrated blading and exposed how wrestlers intentionally cut themselves.
You know, crazy, but I didn't know about blading until I watched the movie The Wrestler. And I caught that. I'm like, oh shit! So that's how they did that. That's how I also found about blading from that. Wow. But wow.
For the effect of blood, and there were even segments of him asking wrestlers if wrestling was fake, which actually led to him getting slapped by David Schultz, and I would say that was well-deserved. And then we get to Vince McMahon. In 1989, Vince McMahon voluntarily went to the New Jersey State Senate and made a bold claim. He said professional wrestling is not a sport, it is sports entertainment. He didn't confess that professional wrestling was fake, but he did need a loophole to avoid expensive athletic commission regulations. Therefore, he reframed wrestling as sports entertainment, and you've got to at least somewhat respect the fact that he tried to respect kayfabe and the business and not flat out just call it fake. At this point though, kayfabe took a lot of damage, but it still limped on until 1996, because that year something happened that shattered the illusion more than ever before. A moment caught on camera in front of a live crowd in the world's most famous arena. A moment so controversial that it wasn't just a break in kayfabe, but it was actually the worst thing to ever happen to kayfabe, and I would even argue and say that it was the final nail on kayfabe's coffin.
In case everybody doesn't know, in 1996, they thought Hunter Hearst Helmsley is the hot young rookie we've got. We want to elevate him. The King of the Ring winner usually gets elevated.
So it would have been a huge, what we would call push for me in the business. It just would have really been the thing that launched me.
When Hall and Nash were leaving in April of 96,
Sean and I are staying. It's their last time at Madison Square Garden. They're leaving shortly thereafter. And Sean comes to me during the day and he's like, hey, I mentioned something to Vince about us all going out at the end of the show and having a moment together.
Then they all go out and hug, baby faces and heels. Fans, there's no internet. People don't know they're leaving. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They just felt that they needed to hug.
The Garden's sold out and they go ballistic.
So the people are happy to see you all acknowledge that you're friends and break the
It's
kayfabe.
this crazy moment, right? Like it's this crazy moment of like, most people I believe in that time probably in the Garden, especially New York is so savvy to everything. Like they know we're all friends, they get it, right? And they know they're leaving. And this is like an incredible, real life moment. This
First time in wrestling history this has happened, where you kind of break.
Probably
That's my understanding.
one of the big moments where it actually happens.
And it was just bullshit. They took a whether you like Vince McMahon or not. Madison Square Garden was his building at the time. It was his father's building. He viewed that as his house. And they went out and took a on the business in Vince's dining room.
Of course,
right on his
Corey's
table.
gonna say that. Call
So Hunter Hearst Helmsley got spanked. He didn't win the King of the Ring. It cost him about $150,000 or $200,000 that year.
And I'm like,
He was told to go around to all the boys and apologize for what he did. And he should have.
she said, you are gonna have to learn to eat platefuls of and like the taste of it.
And everybody thinks, oh, it's goddamn, as quaint as it seems to look back now. No, he took a on the business.
So what happened, and because of that, a lot of assholes like to feel like the Reign of Terror was warranted because of what he went through because of that, which is to me bullshit. That's why, and that made me think the same thing why they have Roman had that title for a long time as a heel as well too, as a big apology and a big punishment as well too to fans as well too after what he dealt with as well too. I mean, maybe this situation with Naomi could be a punishment, a big apology for her walking out and after being done dirty and all that as well too, and with they and I guess with the way because already fans are treating it, certain fans treating it like they give other people cases for not rooting for her and all that because she's a heel. I mean, you're not supposed to root for heel, but they're supposed to give him a case because they did the same thing with Roman. So who knows? But other than that, let's keep going.
He exposed the business. Vince McMahon had done it, but it was his business. There was no reason for the boys, for their own self-serving motivation, to go out there and do that. There was no storyline purpose to it. It didn't sell any tickets, didn't do anything for business, did something for their egos. Helmsley goes around to every single member of the crew and apologizes.
I wouldn't be surprised Corny was one of the many few that did not like the click.
realizes what he did was wrong.
And I said, if what we did was so bad, then why was the largest or the loudest reaction of the entire night what we did?
And Helmsley reveals all along, which I figured, that he wasn't genuine when he was apologizing.
If what we did was so bad, isn't our job to entertain those people that all paid? I guarantee you the one thing they left there saying is, holy shit, at the end they all came out and it was this moment, it was real, right?
He just did it because he was told to and it was political, and he really knew that he was doing something to revolutionize the business.
Like I said, the business is changing and we're either gonna change with it or it's gonna pass us by. And he sat there for a second and he said, you might be right, but right now isn't the moment.
So here we are, just days before the release of WWE Unreal, the documentary that's about to officially leave kayfabe behind. This is the crossroads. You've got one side with guys like Triple H and The Rock who break the illusion in press conferences, podcasts, and interviews, because to them, everyone already knows it's scripted, so what's the harm? Then you've got the other side with the old school mentality with guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, CM Punk, and The Undertaker. These are guys who still believe the business deserves mystique, that what they do is worth protecting. And honestly, when you look through the history of wrestling, there's one undeniable...
You think about it, it took to like almost close to the last ride for Undertaker to literally break kayfabe. Like when we heard him talking, like he sounded like a whole totally different person from both the Dead Man, even a little different from the American Badass / Big Evil. So yeah.
truth. The more kayfabe got destroyed, the more wrestling suffered. Because when fans stop believing, they stop caring. It's as simple as that. That is why Unreal isn't just another documentary, it's the final step towards killing all of the magic. It's going to do some real irreversible damage to the business. With less magic, there will be less of a spectacle, and that'll lead to less care and eventually less viewers. I don't want to sit there and watch Triple H and the entire company talk about upcoming storylines like they're reviewing a Marvel script. That is not wrestling, that's corporate cosplay. Just imagine telling a kid that Santa isn't real.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you do that? What is the benefit of stripping away belief for the sake of transparency and content? You're not being honest or revolutionary, you're actually being reckless. If anything, we need to double down on kayfabe. Bring back wrestlers who live their gimmick on talk shows, make fans question everything again, and blur the lines so well that people forget where the performance ends and the reality begins.
Right.
Sadly, I don't think that's ever going to happen because all you have to do is look at the two men running WWE who just don't care about kayfabe. One of them was part of the biggest break in kayfabe history, and the other is a Hollywood megastar who lives for the behind-the-scenes content. So why should we expect them to have a change of heart? With that said, I don't think Triple H and The Rock truly understand what they're doing to this business. And if they don't course correct now, if they don't restore that sense of magic, then one day we'll all look around and realize that professional wrestling didn't go out in flames, it quietly tapped out behind the curtain.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like they're gonna be. I mean, they're gonna do, but I feel like gonna be some kind of like, you know, still a little bit of kayfabe within the thing itself, the document itself, because they gonna like not expose everything. But here's the thing. Let me see some of the comments. Unfortunately, it's too late for videos like this. This should have been done at the moment when documentary was announced. Now WWE will not cancel this. No, not WWE. TK will not cancel this. Yeah, dude. Kayfabe been dead over almost 30 years with the the curtain call. Y'all remember that? I get one suspended to the league, but come on, let's stop acting like this is killing the business. Yeah, cause I don't feel like it's gonna really kill the business, you know. But at the same time, we got so many think pieces, realists, wrestling fans that are now think pieces now, realists or think logical and all that as well too. That's why sadly you got folks who don't care about the alignment system. They on this root for shit. I mean, they and unfortunately when it comes to that, 9 out of 10 they're rooting for more of the heels and the baby faces as well too, because they're more relatable and all that, which is bullshit. So that's that. So let me see this one. But everyone knows wrestling fate is 24/5. Kind of want to see what they do backstage. I mean, it's people. I'm going to watch it out of curiosity, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Do you think that it is going to survive? Or you think it's another exaggeration for Pllana? Because my last video react to the wild wrestling don't wrestle anymore. One of my favorite people that's in that be on my wrestling videos had a few words for Pllana about it. That's what I'm gonna say. It wasn't a good way. That's what I'm gonna say though, because I feel like it's 50-50. Because I felt myself that it was 50-50 though. Let me go. Where we go to, if I still have, I mean, it should be still up. I think I have another Pllana, that, and yep, here we go, by Pllana. So he said, nah, this is some delusional ish from him. Russell and be part time, all kids a part time thing. He said he didn't say Pllana's point is just rage baiting. Dude got a trash opinion now. I wonder if it's gonna be another one of these. Who knows? Who could be him saturated? Who knows? Other than that, if you like my reaction to this, though, like I said, I'm curious. I can say this is enough 50-50 right here. I don't think it's going to kill the kayfabe because, like, you know, kayfabe has been said dead already. But so I don't think it's going to do it. But depends on how it's going to come out. This is definitely would say it's like a wait and see situation, in my opinion. it really is a wait and see situation to see where you're going with this. So yeah, other than that, if you let me reaction to this, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.